All right, welcome to Soul Speaks 5D. It's pretty amazing. It seemed to be that Soul Speaks 5D was like 99% of our programming for a number of years. And now with all these new shows coming out, this is the first time I've sat in the chair, I think in a day or two, but we've had several other video productions. So I want to just say real quick, thank you everybody for getting behind us and strengthening the community and helping us to expand. And I'm welcoming all these new soul producers with their new programs, encouraging people all over the world to come join us as well. We're creating the first 24/7, 365 universal cast in all the multiverses in the lowest density that we've ever had incarnations in. So let's get jiggy with it. We've got three special people here today. They work together. I don't know the story. Two or three people recommended these folks to us. We got Rick and Deb Purcell and Philip Barrow. Rick and Deb are here in the States and Philip is in UK. And they work together. There's some healing involved. It should be an interesting conversation and experience. But without further ado, welcome to Soul Speaks 5D, you holy Trinity Triad healers. And we're anxious to get to know you, but welcome and thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you for inviting us, Todd.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a long story.
Well, I'm just taking in the energy of the three of you, and it does feel very much like a holy triad.
I've
know.
been part of Soulogy for many years, very quiet one.
I recognize your name. I recognize your name. It took me, you telling me that. And then I said, yeah, I knew this name. I knew that. And
I've been a member for many years.
Oh.
I'm not real outspoken because we got really busy 4 years ago. And so I just kind of watched the stuff and I'm real quiet. But
Right.
I'm in and out. But I
Right.
know many of your members. We've known many members, Ernestine and
right.
Linda Winger, and I mean, there's so many I know. I mean, I could name a gazillion of them. You've had Don on
Parkinson.
Yeah, you've had him on as a guest, and I think you've had several. I mean, I'm going blank right now, but our story with Phil joining us started about almost 4 years ago. We've been doing healing together for over 3 years, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
But we met him through Nilesh Mystery. I don't know if you know who Nilesh is. And I met Nilesh through Alba Weinman. And I contacted him after seeing him on 3 or 4 videos that she did, his hypnosis sessions. But I connected with him because Archangel Metatron started visiting me after his healing, after his sessions with her, and I was watching videos. So that's how this all, it's like a snowball effect. But yeah, I connected with Nilesh and I asked him to be a guest because Rick and I were doing light language and healing videos ourselves, just the two of us.
Wow. On YouTube or what? Facebook?
I would record them and then just upload them to YouTube. Very
So, well, and
no
this is
editing, just
yeah, well, that's the only way to do it. I don't know why people get all, they're like want to come on, they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to submit questions to you. I'm like, oh, this ain't Gaia TV, man. This is Soulogy. But no, I'm not taking shots or throwing shade at anybody because we're all pieces of the puzzle. But I find this, first of all, kind of fascinating. So we'll get into Philip, the intersection that occurs there 4 years ago. But I got to know because again, we've done, I think probably close. I know over 4,300 when we left social media, but we're actually probably over 4,400 now. But in all these episodes, there's a lot of common denominators. Just real quickly, you probably heard me say before, the majority of the people that come on, they were awake when they were born. It's eventually got suppressed either in their early years or maybe in their teenage years because your invisible friends aren't real and all that other stuff. And then kind of like try to fit in, high school, college, corporate ladder, try to be normal, which is a real joke for all of us. and then have another awakening or a reawakening, sometimes through a trauma or a series of traumas. Certain abilities are brought to the forefront with many of the people, with their healing, higher sensitivities, abilities that we consider supernatural, we're used to, but and so on and so on. But one of the things that we don't see is, because I mean, if you go back to 2012, 95% of these groups, and it's slowly evolved, and the male has stepped in, but 95% were feminine, over the age of 45, very much in the background, very much the glue of it all. A lot of the people that were in the chair that I'm in were masculine, were males. So it was kind of an inverse, which is starting to change. And I think soulogy is a part of that. But you don't see the couple. Like, so this, I'm assuming, happened a few years ago for you. You're a couple, you're doing light language, which wouldn't be out of the ordinary for a woman. And you see more men doing it, but I mean, I'm saying that was a lot of the first step for a lot of the women to step up, was to share their light language. So you guys are doing light language. How did you guys meet?
Well, I was doing, he doesn't do light language.
Oh, okay.
I was doing decrees and light language, and I was doing decrees. I was following a woman named Christine Preston for the last 9 or 10 years. And I learned to do decrees through her. And I was not awake my whole life. No, I was raised Catholic. I'm a recovered Catholic. And
many of us are.
went to Catholic school.
Me too.
Massachusetts.
Just for kindergarten. Oh my God, you were in the thick of it.
Massachusetts girl. I'm a New England girl. So I went, strict the whole Kennedy, Democrat, blah, 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 that whole era. So I went through when I was in Catholic school, I can tell you that I knew everything was wrong as a kid. As soon as I could, I left that whole thing behind, and I searched. So I knew there was something wrong with religion. I was searching my whole life, and I was married to somebody else and got divorced and left the state and went to Florida. And that's where I met him. He was a blind date.
Now, when was it? What year was this?
1979.
Oh, I got the impression y'all have been together a long, long time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're talking over 40 years. That's and
Thank
congratulations for
you. It'll be 42 years.
We got 42 years ago next week.
Yeah, next week.
I was going to say commiserations.
Yeah,
Well, there's even a story behind that, but
there has to be.
We share the same higher self.
Yeah, well, you know what? I know all kinds of stories, and I'm sure others do, all around. Everything, like twins that are one's incarnated and one's not. There's just, I respect everybody's reality, but regardless, we all share the human condition. And for two people, romantic or not, to be connected before, during, and after is quite an accomplishment. So big props to you both.
Yeah.
And we might have to dig into that on a separate show, because I think that's really important code. Like, how in the F do you navigate the last 10 years as an individual, much less in a relationship? You know what I mean? So, but you guys, our topic is this Holy Trinity, this healing mechanism that you have, that you all three are a part of. And I think the stories themselves, to me, carry the highest code, the highest alignment, the highest healing. As we all know, everything's moving very fast. And what was the truth yesterday is being held against a higher truth today. And then we also have the acceleration of self-sourcing, self-healing. So there's many, many dynamics out there. So I think with what you have, the three of you that you have to offer, that you have to share, there's a lot of code in it, a lot of multiplicity offering there to me in my mind. But yeah, so and then what? So now you're okay, so you're asleep, you meet your literally other half, and at some point, do you both wake up together?
No, I woke up first.
Well, that's standard too, isn't it? Feminine tends to be the transmitter.
He was still working. I woke up. Things were happening. I was retired and he was still working.
Mm.
And I had all the time to delve into it. I finally found the truth. I found the truth about 8 years before he did.
Okay,
He never questioned anything with me. He just let me go.
right.
But I got to a point where I was sitting at home and I felt like I wasn't doing anything. And one day I said out loud to my guides, either take me home or find my joy. And when I said those words out loud, and I was doing my decrees, I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to. I was frustrated. Take me home or find my joy. Was shortly after that, he started seeing orbs.
Yeah, I woke up, I was in bed sleeping and I woke up and I actually saw in physical form and one of my angels coming across the bed. Scared me,
Uh-huh.
right off the bat. It really scared me. And back after that, I wanted to sleep with the light on for a while.
Welcome to the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So what year was Deb? When did you wake up? And 8 years later would be when?
2016 or 17, yeah.
16.
Okay.
And then it just became more and more. I started feeling, before I would see an angel or archangel, I would feel the vibration first. So I knew they were there. I see my fairies. I just see so much. But I feel their vibration first.
Yeah.
And I can open my eyes and then I see them in physical form with my eyes open.
So
Okay.
he feels them.
Yeah,
Right.
I've seen her.
I mean, he sees them. I can hear them. I channel them.
Somebody was remarking the other day on the show how people aren't mentioning specific clairs anymore. They're just saying the clairs, like, so they're all kind of melding together, in a way, but I can relate to both. So this is 2016. And then 4 years ago, you connect with Philip. So that'd be what, like 2006, 2018, 19. Philip, what was your path? What was your trajectory as you flowed into these two lovebirds?
You want me to tell you right at the beginning? I'll be
Philip
quick. I'll be rapid.
was a walk-in though. Did you know Philip was a walk-in?
But
Totally different.
I'll tell you more of the story. But I haven't told anyone. So this is
Oh, cool.
new.
All right.
So before I was born, I was looking for a dead baby. A baby that's just about died. I was actually with my dragon guardian called Doman, and my protector. And the baby had died in hospital for about 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, and I jumped in the body as a walk-in. Life was very difficult because the brain needed rewiring, but also my first language was light language. Now, my parents were told that I have suspected brain damage, and there's me speaking light language, which doesn't go quite well. Luckily, my mum was a Sunday school teacher, religious, but also a tarot reader. So she was quite open to anything that I followed, basically. And in the end, at 6, they just said, I'm a very rebellious child. You will never get anything out of it, what you want. You just got to accept it. Luckily, I passed the test by putting a square brick in a round hole. And that's true. That's true. At 5, my goldfish called Ovid died. And for 2 days in a jam jar. So I put him in my hands. I was giving him the kiss of life, and my hands glowed red. As well, I had a light inside my hands. And he came back to life. I didn't realize that was healing, actually. Put him in the jam jar, he was back to life, and I was overjoyed. At 10, because I'm 58 soon. At 10, I wanted to build an igloo. So I sang to the clouds, and we had the worst snowstorm in 100 years, and I built the igloo. So I connected to the earth energies and the environment at a very, very young age. And at the age of 13, 14, the angelics were training me to do shamanic work against demons and dark energies and everything. When I met my wife, she had the same tarot cards as my mum, Egyptian tarot cards, which is very strange. But she had a demonic attachment, and when I was healing her leg, I was getting thumped from inside. So I cleared that using a tarot card, the University tarot card, Alistair Crowd. I know it could be dark and light, but it shifted it, and a snake came out of the card and drew all the green dense energy out, which was great. She saw it all, so I cleared her. Before that, all the boyfriends either were dead, died, in prison, or were very seriously injured in the brain, if you know what I mean. So she couldn't stay steady with anything. 8 years ago, she died. She had cancer. She was given 6 hours. I got her 8 months, but it was draining me. I couldn't keep her alive and myself alive. I was going downhill for about 4 years, and then I met Sophie, who got me out of a very deep hole. And then I started doing a lot of spiritual work. But over the last 20 years, I've been going to an healing centre, doing healing in Warrington and also Woodley. That's now, the person's retired, and all the healers have got together, and they're now called the Cheshire Holistic Healers. So we heal there. I'm doing her a lot, aren't I? I'm also in September, I'm going to teach a holistic school for children. I'm going to teach crystal therapy and sacred geometry. And next year I'm going to teach healing. 2 more healers have got together, and we're going to do healing courses. So at the end of the day, everything, you've got to give it back. You've got to teach and get people awakened. I went through awakening 3 years ago, and that was quite mad. So is there anything else I've missed, Deb? I've got so much.
What did you say 3 years ago? What?
I've gone past that. What did I say?
No, you said something about 3 years ago at the very end. I'm not.
Yeah, 3 years ago I met, 3 to 4 years ago I met Deb and Rick on the
I see what you're saying. Okay, I did.
And I used to go on the show, and I've done a few videos with Nilesh, which was
right.
quite eye-opening.
I got you.
But I always, I use aspects of myself. I partially merge, and they teach me different modalities of healing, and some of it is quite. But I give it out. If you know some knowledge, you give it out. You definitely give it out. And one of them, because I'm an Andromeda starseed, I go into the 11th chakra and look at the person's blueprint, and then I can reverse injuries and illnesses and other things.
Okay. So we've had obviously a lot of people on the show with the years, and some very close to what you're describing, your life experience, your abilities, and that type of thing. Now, the two of you, were you doing healing before you met Philip 4 years ago?
Well, yes, we were, because Rick, one afternoon, I took my sister, who was visiting, to the Grand Canyon, and when I was gone with her, you can tell him.
Yeah, I was just laying in bed, just kind of with my eyes open, looking at the ceiling, kind of meditating, and the white light of God source came to me, and it just overwhelmed me. And we didn't know it at the time, but at that time I became a healer. We found out later from a person who actually channels for us, that I had become a healer.
It was after that point he called me, that he started calling me from work when somebody got sick, and he goes, so-and-so's husband's not feeling well, and I all of a sudden started getting what was wrong with him. I'd tell him, this is what's wrong with him, this is what he needs to do. This is at the beginning. This is 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I
And
said,
you-
oh, he's got this, and this is what he needs to do, and this was, and he would say, okay, and he'd hang up the phone.
So,
And I'd sit there and go, why did that come to me? I have no medical.
so basically
background.
I was scanning them
Right.
for anything that was going on with them, and Deb was receiving
All the
all the
downloads.
information of what was
Right. Right.
And
again,
eventually I actually would see inside their body what was going on.
right, like scan them. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so again, this is very interesting. And I think the timing is impeccable because of what's happening this year in terms of self-sourcing and mirroring. And just the way everything's changing, the higher level of unity, consciousness, and oneness, which affects everything.
Yeah.
So I've heard some too on this show, couples that had this type of complementary, fit that equated to a healing modality for other people, and a lot like what you're describing. It was organic, and it just kind of came. You know what I mean? So now you got all three of you together. How does this happen, Philip? How did you meet these two
Well, we
weirdos?
met through, we were doing, once a month, we were doing like a webinar with Nilesh Mystery. And it would be just like a love webinar and get people together. And Phil came with his girlfriend. And they would just join in with 30 or 40 people in attendance, and Nilesh would carry through this love webinar, and he would speak, and that's how we met Philip. And Philip came to us once, and he said, "I would like to attend your healings." You know, we would talk about our healing webinars that were coming up. We were doing a healing in light language. And I'd give the dates, and he said he said I'm gonna attend, and he would say that he asked, he goes, if he could join in to do some healing, and we said sure. And then we talked about what happens is Philip is also a warrior, and people would come with they would have demons in them, and we're healers, we're not warriors. We don't go down into the astral, and we don't fight demons. Philip does. So he's like the best compliment to this healing that you could get.
How did y'all figure out that you were going to do this in tandem? How did you figure that out?
It just happened. We just complement each other. We really work well together. And the three of us, our energies just meld together. It just works. And I could see what Philip is doing, and he could see what I'm doing. So
Cool.
it's
Very
just,
cool.
I don't understand. It happened, and it works well.
Now I know that I believe it was Ernestine. You mentioned Linda. She's been a long time soulogy community.
Yeah.
I think Janine Stadler mentioned you.
Yes.
I have a feeling they all kind of caught you at the same time. Now, the three of you are doing something on a consistent basis, if I'm not mistaken, like some type
yes.
of program. Can you
Yes.
tell us what that is, and how long you've been doing it, and kind of what goes on with it?
Well, we've been doing, we were doing 3 a month for the last almost 4 years. 3 healing events, one for Australia, New Zealand, and one for the United States, well, Northern Hemisphere, and then a pet healing. We do animals as well. But right now our house is up for sale, so we're only doing 1 a month.
So
Right.
some of these Todd were going for 7-8 hours.
Yeah, they were
Is
becoming.
YouTube? Is it YouTube, Zoom? Or how
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
doing?
they were
Zoom
lasting,
on YouTube.
yeah, they were lasting 8 hours, that healing.
How many people would show up to them?
Probably in the mid-20s, maybe 20.
Well,
So
no,
there's-
No,
it's
it was
hard to
50 or
tell.
60, 50 or 60 over the period of time.
Yeah,
There's a lot of-
because people would come and go. They'd
Yeah,
leave.
yeah.
More
Yeah, but
people
I mean,
would
that's
show up.
still, that's a very powerful. I mean, people, especially with the internet, get caught up, and I've been doing this for 12 years, and heard from my guides long ago Don't worry about the numbers. What's looks big is little, and what's looks little is big. So the value of the intimacy with the physical, reality of a smaller number cannot be underestimated. I participated in a group session last night with 5 people. And I've been in sessions with 100 people, plus people, whatever, but it always amazes me how the small groups can be so powerful. But I have a feeling it's because there's more of a solidification, a concentration of connection because of the openness and the
Yeah.
less variability, that you have in a bigger number. But anyway, yeah, I mean, shoot, that's hours and hours of this. So I mean, and again, we are all getting more and more familiar with the way energy works. So we know that, like right now, to some degree or another, and even to include those that are watching live and that will watch on replay, because we know there's no linear time. There's things that you bring to the table that are more expanded than for others and vice versa. So we take from each other or receive from each other those attributes, you might say. And so all those people that you guys have been, interacting with over these years and 3 times a month, they're carrying some of that with them. I mean, it's an amazing thing. It's a real contagion, isn't it? Not this COVID bullshit. But anyway, so and like, can you describe like what happens on these programs, on these shows that you do? Can you just kind of run through maybe 2 or 3 examples of what's occurred, like maybe each one of you?
Who's first? Yeah, is that me?
You can.
Go ahead.
We might have
Big ones.
someone who wants something removing that they've had. That's all I'll say. And we end up going in the 11th chakra. We look at the blueprint, which is like sacred geometry. And then I partially merge with my crystal source being. And we basically go, it's like in remote viewing, it's like going down a roller coaster through the body, right to the feet. And as you pump up, all black smoke comes out. And it's quite amazing to actually see that. And the actual difference of the person. I've seen him sat down, white, moping, at the end, dancing, actually dancing.
Mhm.
And that gives so much power to us. Do you know what I mean? Like we've actually helped someone. And that's all we're here for. We're here to help them
Right.
get back on the journey.
How much in your experience with the 3 of you, how much, let me frame this up. How much of an effect does let's just call it the patient or the client, how much of an effect do they have on their own healing? How much influence do they have? How much of it is them?
Their faith in believing that they're healed is
Right.
really a lot of it. If they don't believe that that they're healed, they'll go right back into it.
Right.
The other thing is to
Because
find the
they can feel
source.
the energy going into them. They can actually feel it.
Right, of
They
course.
truly can.
Right.
But
And they're
also,
even saying it. They're saying it at the time. I can feel, I can feel this. I can feel
Right.
that.
Right.
I can feel that. They're surprised. And if they're saying it out loud, and I'm saying good. They can feel a vibration, or they can feel the warmth. A lot of times it feels like warm water going through you.
Mm.
A lot of other times, like his healing, you can actually feel that vibration going through you. What his is almost like electric bolts.
Mhm.
You, I can
Mesh.
see
Yeah.
a source father's healing is like warm water.
Yeah.
It's very gentle.
What were you saying, Phil?
I was going to say, the patient needs to know why they are ill. If that hasn't been solved, it'll come back.
Right.
So you need to find its originality where, and heal that. Sometimes it's a trauma in an early life, past life.
Right.
And sometimes it's just a journey that they're probably in a job they shouldn't be in, or it might be their lifestyle, but you need to also help guide them to tell them what they need to do, basically, to stop it coming back.
Yeah,
Yeah, the white lightning that Deb said, I bring in the 22nd chakra, Christ consciousness from 5D, and that's the white lightning using the pillars of white. That's the white lightning that comes in.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
not a bad feeling. It's just it's like a vibration, and I can see it going through their body.
yeah,
And that's
If-
what they say they're vibrating.
Yeah, if you can lift people's vibration to 5D, the likelihood they won't be ill. So,
right,
so the higher the vibration people are, the less ill you are.
right. Yeah, and that's why I was asking, because as things, as things are progressing, everything's affected, everything's evolving, which is primarily our perception. I would say that, take that back, our perspective. Because I associate perception with illusion, or and our perception is our reality, but our higher perspective is takes everything into consideration. But as that enhances, we start to see things differently, and these things start to kind of blossom. So if you take like I know early on I was I was directed to do this type of work, healing type of work, and it resonated with me, Phil, what you said, because in the couple of dozen instances that I played that role, it was always very important that they understood what the root cause was, be it a trauma in this incarnation, or something in a past life, or something in an ancestral lineage. Quite amazing that information would come out. And I think maybe that's got to be some type of catalyst for that code to open up within themselves, or to remove whatever was shrouding, that ability, because that's really what it is suppressed ability. Yeah, this is quite fascinating. So now, are you now, like in terms of what you're doing now? I know you're moving. You guys are what, in Arizona? Is that where you're at?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you moving back to New England, or where are you going?
No, we're moving to Florida.
Oh, okay. Happy oranges.
That's where we started.
Oh, well, there you
That's where
go.
Most of our
Um,
kids and our
but-
grandkids are.
Okay. So once you get settled, the three of you are going to continue to do these 3 a month, right?
Yes.
Okay. And wow, that's incredible. And now, do you do everything together, the three of y'all? I mean, or do you have your own
Well,
practices
no, I mean,
on the
we do a
side?
lot of we do private sessions together. Yes. But
So-
we do some that are just the two of us, or Phil does private sessions with just him too. I
Okay.
mean, we do stuff on our own where people just request him, or some
Right.
just request us.
There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about dark and light, good and evil, all that stuff, masculine and feminine. We don't know which one's evil and which one's good. I'm kidding. Don't get mad at me. My wife's probably gonna kill me. But no, seriously, there's been a lot of discussion about polarities, especially in this dualistic realm. And we've watched that evolve over the years. And I think it's a great thing to ponder with accomplished healers like yourselves. Just because somebody refers to something as a demon or an entity or whatever, there are many. There's a more expansive connotation to things now. There's more unification, more 0 point perspective now. And I'm just curious, with the three of you, each one of you, what has been your journey with that understanding? Because I can, again, go back to my early days when I first woke up, and I was, sitting across from a person who then shapeshifted into a demon, blotchy face, bile skin, exorcist voice. And, I know all these things are very real. But I don't look at that encounter like I then as I do today. And I'm just curious, not because anyone's right or wrong, but everybody's experience is very relevant. And I believe is what is creating the new code that we're offering to the universe as a result of all these incarnations on Earth. But what has been your evolution? Each one of you could speak to it just a little bit. What has been your evolution and your understanding when working with let's just say antagonist energies, possessive energies, what would you say, like energies that have encroached upon someone's space even. What is your relationship with them? How has your perspective evolved through your healing practices? If you want to go first, Phil.
Todd, do you mind me just giving you experience that we all had on an healing event?
Absolutely.
What you were saying before.
Yeah.
We had a woman who wanted to speak light language for, was it 20 years? She wanted to speak to it, and we clocked that she had a trauma in childhood. And when we released the trauma, she started singing light language. And she told us the following week she'd been doing light language every day since. And that just shows you that how you can create a blockage that stops something spiritual. But I just wanted to share that because it was a beautiful experience to actually see someone who was really wanting to speak light language, couldn't, and once she was released on the live event, she started
On
singing
the live.
on the live.
Yeah.
See, that's a great thing about this show too, is when you actually witness transformation.
Yeah.
You know,
But
so that's powerful.
trying to release a trauma in a childhood on a live is a tricky experience, because you don't know what
Yeah,
you're
that
going
was
to get.
beautiful. That
It
was,
was. You remember that one?
yes, I do.
Oh, yeah.
That gave me.
We've had some really, really dark ones,
Yeah.
you know, that it
Yeah.
took a lot. It took like most of one session, if you remember,
Yes. So did I.
for
Yeah.
one guy.
And we see him months later, then they're completely changed. It's
Yeah.
changed him completely.
Totally different. He looked totally different.
Yeah.
Right.
But what my understanding of demons, dark beings, anything, if they affect humanity for no good, then I'm involved. I've got to sort it out. If they're here and they shouldn't be, I will try and take them back, basically where they come from. But if they affect it, now people have implants. My team goes into the implants, and we end up in some strange places. We end up on spaceships. We end up on different lands. End up being a bit of a battle, and they deliberately taking the energy off them. They deliberately making them have emotional stress. They deliberately making them have pain, and we need to get rid of that. Obviously, if they've willed it in, then we're in a very, very different predicament, because they've asked for this experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
And then
every person has a different method. If they've got the demon and they're under 16, I still will say, well, hold on, they're too young to even decide. So I'm still involved. And I've seen some really wild experiences, and I see it in remote viewing. And
then many times close the portals that they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on Orion once, and I ended up when I went to the healing center. They actually saw 5 blacks. One of the healers said, "You've got 5 black gooey spiders on you." I said, "I haven't cleansed myself properly yet. Can you clear it for me?" But
yeah, I mean, I feel like that, you know, especially here on Earth, we're so universally seated. There's so many different, you know, I guess, compositions of a soul. There really is. I mean, there's so many different lineages and such, and we all have different ways of describing it and experiencing it and the way we see it. You know, I've had my own journey over the years with dark and light, and for the last 7 years, you know, really haven't I've experienced dark entities in a big way, but my process is very simple. I just open my heart, you know, to them, and you know, and that's my own way. I'm not advising that to anybody, because ultimately, you know, at least where I'm coming from is it's all about containing or owning it all. But at the same time, I realize that there are many different stations in life, many, and none is better than the other. They're just different experiences. And I do feel that that's a very important topic right now because of the external world and what's happening internally with so many people as things are coming up and our prejudices and biases are being challenged. I mean, one of the things that I learned early on in working with the dark energy, I certainly had the power because I carried the warrior as well. And I've been in the trenches of hell many times, and I understand that I was there and have chosen to go there to understand that which I will be opposing. You know what I mean? You got to become that which which you're going to face. But one of the things I realized early on is I had the power to drive them out, but they would come back. And the reason they would come back is twofold. One is because the person, as you said earlier, didn't have the level of belief. But another reason is because I carried the charge. So then I worked out, that it has to be brought into equilibrium. So I think these things are very important because things are changing so fast, and because there's a lot of, in the external, which is a projection of our internal. There's a lot of division and separation by things as silly as politics and religion and, just what country you were born in and what side of the state were you born in and that type of thing. So I do think these healing experiences, we'll call healing experiences, are so important because they may not teach us in terms of your typical instruction. This is what this is, and this is what that is, and this is how you do this, but more of the energy that's produced in that moment. Are you noticing in your individual sessions and or in your sessions that you do publicly together, are you seeing a widening effect of the energetic experiences that you are part of? Are you seeing it affecting other people in, let's just say, non-typical ways or ways that we wouldn't normally see, like just the patient? Are you hearing stories of the patient illuminating others? Are you in public and people are drawn to you? Are people coming to you in greater numbers? Are you noticing a difference in the type of people that are coming to you? I know that's a lot of questions.
Yeah, Todd, what I've noticed in the last year or two, a lot more people are being attacked with dark energies to quieten their energy, because we're all growing, we're all going bigger, and they're being damped down, and we're taking implants out of people to make them keep their sovereign power, if you know what I mean.
Makes sense. So in other words, to keep another one from waking up, they're turning on something that may have even been dormant. To quell them again. Do you feel like that I'm sorry, do you feel like that let me be careful. There's Deb mentioned this year earlier. We'll have to talk about this year a little bit, but I've noticed in 2023, especially since March, as things have really started to get hot and heavy, especially June and July, and now we're into August, I've noticed a lot of projection in the light worker community. I've noticed a lot of finger pointing, their false light and this bullshit and that, and I look at it and try to bear witness and go into judgment or carry a charge. But do you feel like that there's an uptick in what you're describing in terms of these implants being either turned on or turned up to not only suppress someone who's just waking up, but someone who is leveling up, that's been awake? Do you feel like that there's an uptick in that?
I've seen a lot more triggering. People get triggered. And for everyone, if you get triggered, you're the problem, not them. That's something you need to release. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen a lot more of that.
Thank you.
For nothing, over nothing sometimes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
And I even got triggered a few weeks ago, and Phil said, if you're triggered, you got to look at you. And I said, he's right.
It's true. It's a hard pill to swallow.
I had to step back, and I was triggered. Something that somebody said really bothered me. And I had to look at myself. So, I mean, it happens to everyone. I
get triggered and I think, You're my trigger. You're here to trigger me.
You're my trigger finger, maybe. Yeah, I went to 5 days with my family, his large Hispanic family, a funeral this past weekend. And I, like a lot of light workers, I've been estranged from my family for a long time. And so it was like walking into a hornet's nest. But you know that old Ram Dass saying, if you think you're awakened or enlightened, go spend some time with your family, right? But
Hard.
yeah, I had the same thing happen. My soul was very much on point, said, hey, you got to go to this. You know, there's no two ways about it. My human's like, nah, I don't want to go, but no, you're going. And you know how it is. They don't give you the information until you're actually there. They don't like give you, you know, you have to respond like in a spontaneous manner, but I did too. I was triggered for about 5 minutes and by my chief antagonist with an audience. And I walked outside, I took a few breaths and luckily that was the only time during the whole 5 days. So I can relate. And I really admire too. I've noticed this since like September, October last year doing the show that the people, the mirrors that are coming on the show, the people that are coming on the show, the souls, they've been walking in the door with a greater level of humanity and humility. Like they're owning that they're human enough to get triggered, or they're owning that they get pissed off sometimes, or they own, you know what I mean? And it's really refreshing because I think the gifts and the connections in the past lives and the abilities kind of took the front seat as we, 2012 and as we got into this. But I think in the last, year to 2 years, the human is the hero, right? The human has risen to be counted in equal measure at that round table of spirituality. So it's really refreshing to meet 3 people with such tremendous gifts and track record that are still saying, hey, I get triggered and can laugh about it too, you know?
Todd, the best way if you do get triggered, just take your shoes and socks off and walk in the soil.
Yeah.
Just lay it ground away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground it. Are you, I keep getting this messages that you're an angel.
An angel?
Anybody ever tell you you're an angelic?
Yeah, but they also told me I was a devil.
No, but you're not the devil.
Same thing, you know?
Archangel Gabriel, you're an aspect of Gabriel.
I've never, I've had obviously a lot of encounters, many encounters.
Well, this is not an encounter, this is you.
Yeah. Well, I can speak to my aspects of Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. I can speak to a lot of different so I really don't know. I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I would say yes, but I would say that it's that I really connect to everything. I don't find any one in particular, although I have had certain emissaries that brought me to the party, like a lot of people do. But
yeah, at the end of it, we are one.
Yeah. The archangels were, well, put it this way. When I reawoke, they sent Gabriel, they sent Raphael. Neither one of them could get me to wake up. And then Michael came in and
But they sent the big guns in.
they sent him in. Yeah, they literally they shattered a big glass in front of me. He shattered a big glass in front of me and scattered glass all over me. He said, are you listening now? I'm like, yes, I am. I serve 2 bags full. But no, and it's another interesting thing too, is talking to so many people over the years and the connection that people bring forth, not only the coding that it offers, but the memories, and the revelations that come with it. Like, for instance, I've never had any type of affinity for or really resonance for Metatron, and I have no idea why that is. Michael, Gabriel, the other ones I can speak of, other consciousness I can speak of, but so I try not to get too lost in all that. But I would say
it's something that these are messages that I get when it scans you. That's part of what we do. We tell you past lives and who you are.
Now, do y'all do that as a group?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what Rick and I have always done. That's the information that I get. For
Okay.
people.
Yeah, I get it as well.
And he does too for past
is-
lives and everything. It's just something that information that comes at me.
Yeah, if you're hearing
I'm
someone,
getting the information as you're talking and it's telling me straight out that you are an angelic. That's
Yeah.
something you'll go back
Yeah.
to after you're done here, that you are an angel. You came here.
Yeah.
You asked to come here. You asked as an
It-
angelic. You're going to go back to being an angelic.
Yeah.
You are.
what happens, Todd, if you're healing someone 10 or 15 minutes, we get different message. We get different because it's not enough to do the full job. So we're doing bits of it. We find
Yeah.
different aspects,
all
different
this,
lives.
and we've been sitting here talking and I'm starting to get all these messages that
Keep
Well,
going
you-
with it. Whatever you want to do.
I'm Todd, I'm a earth angel, and you get signs for anyone who's an earth angel. You get like healers that said, I could see wings coming out of your back, or you got silver energy coming out of you, and it's different healing centers.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're signs.
You're on the Gabriel is there's Gabriel.
Gabriel calls me the clown. He calls me the
Because
clown.
you are.
I know. And I've always been a clown, he says. So there you go.
He jokes around a lot. He's the clown.
That's good. Who
Yeah.
is?
He's
I
the
am.
comedian.
Phil
I'm
or
the comedian.
Gabriel? Oh, Phil. Oh yeah. I'm the same way. I know my
Well-
soul. My soul's very much to a jokester.
Well, all the higher vibrational beings
Yeah.
they have a laugh. People
Merlin.
don't.
Merlin is a good example of that.
That's Phil.
That's one of my aspects.
That's one of his
Yeah.
aspects.
Well, I've got a close relationship with Merlin. Big time.
He
My
can be
wife-
confusing sometimes.
He can be. Yeah, he plays a real prominent role. He's
Mm.
even appeared to us translucently through a ceremony, and then it was so interesting. I didn't know who he was. My human was like, "Who the F is that?" And
Same
then-
as Saint Germain.
Yeah, and then he just
Merlin, they're all
walked
the
in.
same.
He
they're all
walked
the same.
right through the wall. He walked.
Yeah, they got the magic spark from the magic planet, and that's why Saint Germain was like a sorcerer, even though people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Merlin was, even Moses' staff was sorcerer, and he
Right.
created a funnel. He didn't create a party. So
that's we could spend hours on so many different subjects.
Yeah.
I saw this something I never seen yesterday in a session, and it was a symbol, and it was a masculine symbol, a symbol of the father, and it looked like a trident. You know what a trident is?
Hmm.
Yes.
Like, okay, and it has the U. I'm sorry, it has a U like that, right? Has a promise.
Yeah.
Well, this was turned upside down. The trident U was not, it was turned the other way. Like if you had a spear, it would be the U would be like this one, right? And it had a scepter on it that I'd seen before, but as a standalone. And I don't know why I'm even bringing this up, other than I'm with three high frequency beings here. We seem to be having another conversation up here. But is there a lot of people have talked about what's happening this year as we move into next year, that this year is definitely different than it's ever been before. We're stepping into a new world, and we're kind of working the bugs out this year. There's been a lot of talk about the feminine over the years, the mother goddess and that type of thing. In your mind, and there's no right or wrong answer, is there a strong masculine rising now in your mind, like through your work, and are you noticing anything
I
like
hope
that?
so.
Yeah.
I hope so, because they're trying to feminize the men. So I'm hoping that there is a strong masculine rising.
Yeah,
soon.
I think that means the warriors got to step up, Phil.
Hmm. Yeah, I was going to say as well, Ivan Teller said this, that the reason why I'm good with shamanic work is my soul's got dark energy, so I'm invisible to them. I'm invisible. But I also do a lot of work with David Starr, healing the earth, raising the vibration. And I've noticed the earth has got like a tilt, spiritual tilt. It's tilting to the light at last.
Right.
Because obviously earth has been very, very low for a long time. And I think it's just tilting back to its original format. So I think everyone who's working, remember, healing earth, lifting the vibration, using higher chakras, bringing it down is what's needed. That's what's needed as much, because once you lift the vibration of the water and the soil and all the energy, then more people are waking up, and it's just a big cycle, and we get back to its original blueprint. My belief is new earth is old earth. It's the original blueprint of earth.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's my belief. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here, basically.
I agree. I totally agree with this. Absolutely. Yeah. Like the world stage is just taking on like a ridiculous type of like a false flag, the way the false flags kind of diminished in terms of their influence and the hold that they have on people. Yeah, I was going to ask y'all something. I can't remember now. Oh, yeah. So I also look at the three of you. We're talking about the composition of our soul signatures, I guess, in a way, our souls. I pick up a lot of elemental with y'all as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to
Oh,
confirm.
yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
My holidays on the light side of the underworld. I love that. And that's all the elemental there.
The light side of the underworld. Well,
The light side.
Mother Mary once told me you are from the wildest part of the universe, but there is the wild goodness. You are the wild goodness of the universe, but you are the extreme. Yeah. So yeah, I think you definitely have to have like a broad representation of the light. There's all different types of specialties and knowings, and not everybody wants to go into the pits of hell. I mean, I'm used to getting hooks in my eyeballs and being dragged across the floor. But again, to have the understanding of what we're doing, right? As we've gone through all these things. Now, like, where do you see your healing your healing program going from here? Do you feel like it's going to continue to kind of be the same? Do you think there's going to be a lot of people on the earth that are going to need this type of thing that are not currently in, let's say, light worker circles? Or do you feel like it'll be changing to serve those that you may have already served, but at a higher and a different level?
We are taught so as it changes, we are taught new ways of doing this. So and they bring us who needs the most important healing done. So whoever comes to us with something new, we're taught then what needs to be done. I channel it.
It's always
Right.
It's always changing. It is
Right.
always changing. So they bring them to us. And Rick and I have 12 ancestors with us at all times. They're all indigenous ancestors. So
Right.
they're Native American, they're Mayan, and they also bring down the energies. So they're here with us. And I have 2 Native American guides that are helping. And I have a oversoul who is Cochise chief. So he's showed up recently.
Far out.
That was in Sedona
That was in Sedona,
Yeah.
actually, yes.
when you were
I
Speaking
was
light.
speaking light language in between all of the rocks, the big Cathedral Rock and Bell Rock. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
speaking
That
light
little
language.
strip, that little valley coming up from VOC.
Yes, that was
It's
so
amazing.
standing
I've been
there.
there 11 times. I was there about 6 months last year. But the first time I went, I was coming from VOC. I'd stayed the night in VOC, and my friend said, take my car. I was going to go meet Ty for the first time and at his studio. And as I was going through that very place you're talking about, I just started belting out ancient song. It was quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sedona's I'm taking my mother, 84 years old, who's traveled the world, never been to Sedona. I'm taking her for 2 weeks in September.
We're taking Phil next year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
right on.
yeah.
When you coming to the States, Phil? Next year.
I'm going to try.
Yeah, you're going to.
I
You're
think
going
you've
to.
got me on that one.
Well, you might as
Did
well,
I
you
have
might
a
as well,
drink then?
you might as well come in December and come to the Soulogy Fest in Houston, December
Hmm.
8th, 9th, and 10th.
Oh,
Well,
there
he
you
can
go.
come anytime he wants. He always has a place to stay, so.
There you go.
I was going to say, Todd, for what's happened in the last 3 years, which I'm not going into the political, it's made healing the future. It has pushed it even more than I could ever imagine. So
Yeah.
the more we get damped down, the more we grow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, anyone who, and nothing against anyone that hasn't, but anyone who has been to the pits of hell, you know, we can only illuminate in equal degree to the level that we've visited the other end of the spectrum. It only makes sense. That's what we do as
Yeah.
souls.
With both
So,
sides, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting ride here as we get into the end of the rest of this year and into next year. I'm very interested in collaborating, you know, with each of you.
Hmm.
I'd love to explore the ideas of having you back on together. I like to look at things in a creative way. You know, when you don't have a box, it's kind of hard to step out of the box. But if you've been out of the box and in, you know, you can kind of find yourself in a box. So I'm always looking for creative ideas, and we're really expanding the network now. It's not about me. It's about, you know, our motto is built for the community, built by the community. So I was given what I call 5D commerce template by the Arcturians in 2018. I started downloading this stuff in 2012, but specific to what's happening now with the network, where 1/3 of everything that comes in goes to the content creators based on a percentage of their engagement, of their viewership, and everything's transparent. So this is kind of what we're moving towards. So I would like to explore that. Certainly to have Phil on, you know, individually, have the two of you on individually and together, and then even explore some collaboration to support what you're doing and to expand awareness of what you're doing. You know, like that you're doing on YouTube, but maybe do something that we produce for you here, not to interfere with anything that you're doing, but simply to expand the awareness of what you're doing, and then ultimately to build a bigger coalition so that we can get to the point where we can start to share this abundance, because we know that that's part of what's coming for all these light workers as we clear these poverty programs and worthiness programs, and you all would know that being healers.
Yeah, spiritual dollars, I call
Yeah, exactly.
them.
Yeah, it was quite the leap for us. You know, we always worked off contributions and never charged, even for gatherings. You just donate what you want, and other than the Soulogy Fest, because you can't really do a festival, you know, without knowing what's
Yeah,
coming.
we were
in.
doing free
Yeah.
healing events every month, and just said, please don't
Yeah.
donate if you can. And it got to be too much. So now we were
Yeah.
looking at maybe doing a donation based events. I don't know.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, look, maybe we can put our heads together. I wish I had more time today. The way the schedule is just kind of panned out. Let me just double check and make sure I'm not.
How long have we got?
Well, we got a little bit more. Is there something you want to do?
Well, I wanted to say that, like me and David Starr, we did an event last year. We never broadcast it, but we took down an implant factory in 4D that was connected to the light grid. So everyone was getting implants last year. And things like that, people don't know about them. The other thing I wanted to say is something I got from Atlantis, a grounding and healing technique. Shall I say it? Yeah. Where you visualize a halo above your head, yeah, and it goes down to the feet slowly, and it's sending Gabriel's white light into you, and it changes depending what you get. If you get red, it means that you got implants or something in your auric field. But it's a way of grounding yourself using a tool, basically, and that's what came from Atlantis. That was like a mobile tool. And I've been using that for decades.
Wow.
we all
try
have
it.
we all have that halo above us.
Yeah.
You just bring it down.
You bring it down and it can heal get rid of emotions if it's yellow, and it changes color depending what you need. But it's a great tool after healing, because if you heal in a row, heal one person and the other, you can transfer stuff over. So it's a good way of doing it.
All right.
The other thing I wanted to say, the reason why I went to the underworld once, I had an energy vampire on me, and my guardian, the dragon, took me to the underworld to get a blessing off the goddess of earth next to the tree of knowledge. I just wanted to say that, which was wow. It was
You're
wow.
speaking my language. I love the dragons. The dragons have been real, in fact, I got a visit from Merlin and 6 dragons about 2 weeks ago. And the strange thing about it was that the dragons themselves were solid. Like, I reached over and I could touch them like you would a dog sitting next to you, you know what I mean? And then the comment you made about the goddess of the earth, or whatever you said, it just brought to mind, and there's no coincidence, there's a meeting I had in the inner earth with on the surface what looked to be like a decrepit witchy looking, but she was the goddess, it was quite and there was some couple of dragons guarding the entrance. I remember that.
Were they gold dragons?
Were the dragons?
Yeah, I've seen the gold dragons guarding the entrance to the underworld.
I think, if I remember now, they were gold. They were very metallic-y gold, had a scaly skin, and they had I want to say they had either blue or green eyes. They were like, they were like emeralds. I remember that.
I took an healer there, and the dragon said, "Sorry, no tours." I wanted to show him I said, "Sorry, you got to be ill to get in here."
So why don't you guys just hang on for a second? I'm going to kill the live stream. I want to talk to you just for a second. And if you don't mind, let me just kill. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be back with a premiere.
Thank you, everybody.
We're going to be back with the premiere of Transmission with Julia Weiss and Susan Bornstein within the hour. Okay, let me just kill this, stop live stream. And let me kill this.